As usual, we have cameras trained on them and are secretly watching how they interact.
That could work. That could work.
James and Sharon are checking out each other's values and whether they have common ground. This is an essential part in taking a relationship from the early flirty bit to the more deeper, long-term relationship.
Okay, you met a guy.
Yeah.
You saw him, physically he was attractive, you liked him,
Yeah.
you had a really great night, and you found out he worked in McDonald's. What would that mean?
We have a problem.
His questions are very much testing. What kind of guy do you go for? Would you like this guy or this guy or this guy?
So what would be a worthwhile?
I don't know, like accountant, lawyer.
James was trying to look for depth and meaning, but fighting a losing battle as there seemed to be no common ground. Although earlier at the cinema, JJ failed to acknowledge his partner's abject fear, he now seems much more attentive.
Right, honestly, were you really that scared?
I was so scared.
Or were you just playing up for the camera?
I don't forget it, like it's in my head. You know, when I leave the cinema, I shouldn't think it's reality, but I think that when I go home and then I'm alone and then lock the door, you know, just like, then it can happen.
So it's more about being alone on your own is what you're scared of.
I hate it. I'm like...
As Stina was talking, JJ reflected back her emotions and actually took it one step deeper and said, maybe it's a fear of being alone, and this strengthens the bonding process.
Simply put, revealing personal details about each other is the best way to achieve intimacy.
1, 2.
Good thing.
To force our couples closer together, we asked each person to divulge a secret about themselves.
I sucked a dummy until I was 15. My parents never took it away from me.
When one person self-discloses, it's essential that the other offers something equally intimate. But after such a personal revelation from Kim, will Doug be able to equal it?
I'm still trying to think about something deep and meaningful to tell you.
Doug is very tight. You can see that his hands are as far away as possible from Kim. It's almost as though he's trying literally to conceal his hand.
My biggest fear is feet. I really, really don't like naked feet.
Naked feet?
Yeah, naked feet. I don't mind.
She didn't actually react to it in the most sympathetic way possible.
I think it's because her revelation was pretty intimate, and then for him to turn around and say, I don't like other people's feet, I think she was like, oh, is that it? So I think there wasn't a matching in terms of revelation, and she was disappointed.
I don't think that's personal enough.
Just had a 5-minute conversation.
Has Doug undone all his previous good work?
I think you've got lovely shoes.
We now have the final part of our experiment to see if any of our couples have clicked.
It's brilliantly simple and something you can try next time you're on a date.
We're getting our couples to look in each other's eyes for 4 minutes, so they will get through that slightly awkward phase and end up feeling trust. Now, on top of that, we're getting them to hold hands. And any time we make physical contact between two humans, it increases levels of a very important neurohormone called oxytocin, otherwise known as the cuddle drug. Now, increased levels of oxytocin make people feel trusting and they feel secure, which is a vital foundation for any loving relationship.
Hey guys. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is to stop talking, stare into each other's eyes and hold hands for 4 minutes.
The look of love is in...
It's surprisingly difficult to stare into a stranger's eyes. But Steen's gaze is fixed and her face expressionless, while JJ is more affected by the experience. Notice his slightly self-conscious grin.
Okay, you can relax now.
At the start, they're leaning away from each other, but after the 4 minutes, his hand moves into the shared space. It's an unspoken desire to reach out to her. Now to James and Sharon. These two are possibly our biggest challenge. They too are leaning away from each other, awkwardly waiting for the hand-holding to begin. It's James this time whose face is motionless. Sharon tellingly closes her eyes, unconsciously avoiding his stare. And she even looks away.
Okay, guys, you can relax. Oh my gosh.
Afterwards, James resumes his original position, but Sharon has entered the shared space as if she's inviting him to join her. Finally, it's Doug and Kim.
He won, and he gave her half the money.
Already, the experiment seems to be working its magic. You don't have to be a body language expert to see that they have connected.
Okay, guys. And
After just 4 minutes, watch what happens. Kim stretches across the table to touch Doug, and he leans forward to meet her.
Sadly, 2 of our couples didn't work out, but on a more positive note, Kim and Doug did exchange phone numbers, so we'll leave nature to take its course.
And remember, that 4-minute staring exercise doesn't just have to be between 2 strangers. You can use it at any point in a relationship.
After the break, we reveal the key stages of love: loved up, on the rocks, or in for the long haul.
Tonight, we're in love. Or at least getting inside the heads of people in love.
We've learned some really useful tips on how to make it happen. But how does love actually unfold?
Well, there are 3 key stages, and it all starts with forming, the loved-up stage. Then come the arguments, the storming stage. Now, couples either split up, get stuck here, or learn to live with their differences and move on to norming.
We found 3 couples in the forming phase and observed them whilst they were on a typical romantic day out to watch love in action.
Meet Jackie and Blaine, who are visiting the aquarium. Is their love deeper than the oceans after just 5 months together?
We'll go 2 days without seeing each other, and it's just literally like, we have to see each other or it's like, can't take it.
Meet Myron and Paula. They've gone skating, and it seems that their feelings for each other are warm enough to melt the ice caps.
We've been together for about a year and a month.
I knew that it was love about 1 week into the relationship.
After the second day, he told me, like, we met for a reason, and our paths crossed, definitely.
And Carla and Sam on board a special lovers capsule. But is love in the eye of the beholder after nearly 2 years together?
Sam's very cuddly, warm, and always holding my hand.
If we've been apart, there's always a smile on her face that she's so happy to see me.
There are 2 crucial signs of love: synchrony, whether 2 people are emotionally and physically in tune with each other, and attentiveness, whether they show an interest in each other.
Let's see how synchronized and attentive our 3 sets of lovebirds are.
The way that couples handle questions that are put to them jointly can tell us a great deal about their relationship. What's at issue here is how they take turns, how they refer, defer, and involve each other. In other words, how they act as a team.
Just the 2 of us. We can make it if we try, just the 2 of us.
So I sat down with each of our couples and asked them some simple questions about their relationship. I'm not really that interested in their answers, so much as their posture, their gaze patterns, and their physical synchrony. Forget the words, this is all about the body language of love. Carla and Sam are clearly very deeply in love. We can see that, not from what they tell us, but simply on the basis of how they look at each other and how they look at me when I'm asking questions. Tell me about the best time you've ever had together.
Great Yarmouth, definitely.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was the best time ever.
We packed up and just drove down to Great Yarmouth, spent a week there and slept in the car for a week.
Notice, for example, that a lot of his attention when he's talking is actually to her. It's almost as though I'm irrelevant. She has become the person to whom he's addressing most of his remarks.
We're very intimate, I think.
Love kissing.
Yeah. And cuddling, being close.
If you look at their body language, you can see that they are completely enveloped, almost intertwined in each other. They form a kind of chain of hands and legs. Their orientation is towards each other. It's almost as though they can't get enough physical contact. That's a really important clue to the kind of relationship that they have. Clearly, a deeply physical one.
My baby, mwah, I love you.
Next, Myron and Paula. Think of a whole day that was really fantastic for you both.
Zanzibar.
Oh my goodness, yeah, Zanzibar.
Right from the very outset, we see this fantastic teamwork. So much so that when she's answering the question, he's gazing at her with deep love and affection. Notice, for example, the way that his eyes roam all over her face. It's almost as though he's never seen her face before. What makes a good kisser?
I don't know, when he first kissed me, it was like, oh my God, I knew he was the one.
Notice, too, that frequently, when one of them stops speaking, they produce this kind of termination signal. How? By looking at each other.
What do you think makes like the perfect kiss?
The perfect lips. Perfect lips.
It's almost as though they're kind of two magnets. If there's nothing else pulling them away, they automatically head towards each other. The attraction between them is so intense. Now, our final couple. Jackie and Blaine are clearly also very much in love. They don't show a lot of physical intimacy. He's got his arms wide open, she doesn't actually touch him. Nevertheless, there are occasions when they seem to have been programmed by the same programmer. They'll laugh together, smile, even say the same thing.
Really?
What it shows is that they are on the same wavelength. Their minds are almost as one.
Oh, babe.
Intense love involves increases in heart rate and sweating, and the butterflies in the stomach are caused by a boost in adrenaline.
And with these acute symptoms also comes sexual possessiveness, something that often results in what we call mate guarding.
As in the animal kingdom, men instinctively guard their women from the attention of other men in order to protect their future investment. When a man finds a mate, he shows other males that she belongs to him by touching, looking, and holding her. Generally, women like these displays because it makes them feel wanted. It's 2008, and Brad, Angelina, and Clint Eastwood are out for a meal in Cannes. Dinner's over, and it's time to leave. Notice how Brad doesn't hesitate. He takes Angelina's arm and manfully guides her down the steps. At the car, he ushers her in, checking that everything's fine before getting in himself. He's guarding his mate, being protected throughout. Only moments later, in the same restaurant, it's time for Mick Jagger and his girlfriend to leave. Compare Mick's approach with Brad's. Mick hovers anxiously at the door while his girlfriend waits behind him. When it's time to move, he doesn't take her hand or attempt to protect her. If anything, she's protecting him. When they get to the car, Mick jumps in first, and she's left to her own devices. It's not the most convincing example of mate guarding. As well as being a gentlemanly activity, mate guarding is ultimately saying, hands off, she's mine.
We all do it, and to prove it, our three couples took part in a group activity. We sent them bowling to see if their public behaviour matched just how much in love they said they were.
Come on, baby.
Remember the buzzwords for a loving relationship: synchrony and attentiveness. These can't be faked. So let's have a look and see how it plays out with our lovers.
What's fascinating is the way in which the couples are working as a unit. When one of them has a go, if they're successful, they return to their partner, invite a congratulations, and get it.
This is exactly what's happened between Paolo and Myron. Myron has just done a great strike, and Paolo's immediately in there for the hug and the celebration. In fact, they're mirroring each other quite a lot when they're celebrating, which says, you know what, we're on the same page.